Come on in. We have an interesting AMA at the moment. I'm sure many of you scanned the QR code. If you have not, well, do we have, yeah. Do you want some, oh, maybe it's like already gone. Okay, we have some questions, many questions actually. Do you want to scroll them? So from top to, so we had a QR code where, like Slido, where we could ask some questions to Illia. There are some, I mean, I think most of them are about use cases, it seems like.
Yeah, so I guess the most upvoted question, AI itself is trying to boost revenue generation from real user adoption of product. What's your take on this from AI on-chain point of view? So I think, there's like few different pieces here. So first of all, I just want to be very clear. When we say on-chain, like if we're talking about actually running stuff under consensus, right, with 100x replication, that doesn't make sense, right? This is just too expensive, right? Right now, even if you're using like a cheap inference, for example, like 70, 80 cents per million tokens, right? If you put it on a consensus and you replicate everything 100x, now you're paying 100x pretty much for inference. So there's very little number of use cases where you're willing to pay 100x over the price of traditional inference. So on-chain inference doesn't fully make sense, again, unless a very specific use cases which are highly financial, and there's its own set of issues with that. And so instead, what you want is you want to have ability to pay for the inference on-chain, but not run the inference on-chain itself, right? You want to be able to prove the ownership, the data access, the various other things, but not do all of that on-chain, right? And we have state channels, we have payment channels, we have lots of technology to enable that, but it doesn't need to be like directly, running a layer 1 with inference. So that's important. Now, on the use cases side, right, again, important part is how do we create something that's valuable to the end user, right? Again, I had a bunch of use cases. This can be entertainment, social productivity, right? Those are three maybe core things where right now you can use AI to make it more beneficial for consumer. How do we make consumer more productive? How do we create something entertaining and exciting for them, something where they can engage with? And how do we create a better social protocol, social ways to engage and interact? And this includes character AI and products like that. And obviously on the business side, there's a bunch of use cases as well about automation, process automation, et cetera. And crypto is actually very good as process automation backend because you can reduce operational costs massively if you do it right. So you have a really interesting kind of platform shift already happening around people are now looking at how they're going to automate processes with AI. And so if you plug in crypto now on the back end, where obviously AI agents are way easier for them to interact with crypto protocols than with other people, now you have an ability to actually rip off part of the kind of traditional enterprise stack and replace it with kind of AI crypto system that is way more effective and way cheaper to operate.
There was a question where, is it production? There is something do you see anything that's production ready? Do you remember that?
Yeah, so on production ready, it's complicated, right? And this is the reality is for entertainment, it's production ready, right? Because the bar is so much lower. Even if it messes up, it's entertainment, it's not as massive. If you're running something in high, pretty much your brand representing this, that's where things becoming complicated. Right now, most of the people who are actually using it in production use it as a suggest, right? This can be, everything from GitHub Copilot, which, sometimes is really good, sometimes it's completely dumb, or you have something like support, right, where instead of it responding to the user directly, it shows a suggestion to the customer support agent, and customer support agent maybe edits it or chooses between different options, right? So you want a human in the loop that actually does the judgment that it's not off rails and off track. And so right now, that's kind of the way it works, right? Is making every individual more kind of be able to do more. Again, it's a productivity tool, not a replacement tool. Now, there is a lot of research, and that's why I was talking a lot about benchmarks, is that targeting how to get those like next level of capabilities of being able to do some work fully end-to-end automated, right? Again, it's hard, it's complicated. There's a lot of research doing this, and we need kind of more time, and we need a lot more actual use cases from the end applications to showcase what actually people are looking for, right? Again, imagine a researcher, PhD student sitting in a university right now. They don't have access to like a production workload using ServiceNow to respond to a bunch of IT tickets, right? So if you want them to be able to actually innovate on this, right, we need a data set that actually they can use. And that's kind of one of the biggest challenges that we're solving. So yeah, so like production without human is probably like 1 or 2 years away as we can actually start coordinating around solving real problems.
You can still ask now if you want, if you have any additional questions. Not too late.
Yeah, so what are the examples of AI blockchain products close to GTM that could scale rapidly? Yeah, so this is
most common question.
Yeah, so right now, yeah, like the things that work are the things that actually feed into data side, right? This is crowdsourcing, data acquisition, synthetic data, like marketplaces pretty much that feed into this, as well as I think we're getting close to like inference for smaller models be cheap enough with decentralized approach compared to centralized approach, right? So this is because they can use kind of excess hardware that are previous generation grade, and you want to use it for batch load, like you don't care about latency. So like it's a specific use cases in a niche, but it allows to have actually better economics than you would do traditionally. Same with like crowdsourcing, right? We like Near has Near Crowd, for example, they've been running for 3 years, and Near Crowd has 0 employees, has 0 operational costs, has 0, like the transactional costs are fraction of a cent per payout, right? Compare this to Scale AI, which spends probably like $100 million on like operations, and then $1 billion on kind of like all of the margin, like eating out of the margin from their like actually doing stuff. So those are kind of closest to go to market. Yeah, so I think one question which is comes up a lot is like, hey, users don't actually care about the privacy of their data, and
especially in Korea too. Sorry.
Yeah. And I think like this is true and not true at the same time. I think there's actually surveys where you survey people if they care about their privacy of their data, and they say they do, right? If they survey people and ask them, oh, do you trust social networks, et cetera, they don't, right? So there is a lot of like, I would say, latent awareness that this is a problem, at least in Western market. I think Eastern market are different. But the problem is like people not going to change their behavior because of this, right? They're like, yeah, I'm giving all my data. It sucks, but I'm kind of continue doing this because that's kind of what everybody does, right? So it's just like latent awareness and kind of inertia that leads to this. And the problem is like we just actually don't have better products. Like the reality is like saying, oh, user privacy, user ownership, those are values. Those are not products. And so we're not going to kind of get people to switch until there's a better product. And it cannot be just like a little bit better, like, oh, now it's Facebook but with privacy. That just doesn't work. You need a different product that actually enables new innovation that people will switch for. And we have yet to come to that. I think there's like a lot of shots on goal, but actually way less than you would expect, right? Again, the application use kind of space has been underfunded, massively underfunded on VC, right? Every VC in crypto invests in infrastructure, like majority predominantly in infrastructure. And so in reality, we have 100,000 infrastructure projects for like a couple dozen applications. And so that is a very problematic space. And again, kind of one way we're trying to solve this is to make it easy for everyone to build applications, right? So that you can, even if you're not a developer, can go into AI developer and just describe what you want to build, get the prototype, and now you actually can, test out some hypothesis with consumers. the biggest success of OpenAI is that they created not only the platform, but also the big use case, what it could be the user-owned AI from there. So as I said, like what we think is going to be the kind of biggest use case is AI developer, because it actually serves as multiplier for all of the other efforts, right? If you imagine, we have this loop with novel research and kind of compute and data, well, you need more applications. You need new applications. And so lowering that bar to build applications, especially AI applications, our hypothesis is will enable kind of this massive exponential growth of use cases themselves to leverage the whole stack. Could content creators whose data may be used to train an AI be rewarded with their content influences AI-generated input? How might blockchain help? Yeah, so this is a very interesting question and kind of thing that I've been thinking a lot. I would start with a controversial thing, which is I think copyright is dead. In 5 years, we're going to pretty much abolish copyright, and we're going to need to rewrite the laws and remove it. Because the copyright is technology from 1700s. It was designed based on legal technology, based on the Gutenberg press, introducing the fact that now you have a very one author, but then lots of people selling their books, right? And so copyright was introduced to create this revenue stream back to the original author. Now we have a generative AI, new technology, and we need a new legal technology around it. And generative AI says we can take all of the data, we can munge it into some model, and now we have some new recombination of that doesn't really look exactly the same as original data, but it represents a meaning and maybe some kind of things connecting there. And so this kind of copyright cannot protect that. And so we need a new system. Now, what is a system that can be? Well, it's actually very computationally expensive to verify that any specific piece of data or content led to this inference, right? Let's say you're asking a question, unless it's literally verbatim, like copying something. It probably used 100,000 different documents kind of to give you an answer. And so the way to test it is you remove the document from the training data, retrain the model and see how how much worse the result is. And there's different methods like that, but they're very, very computationally extensive. And so instead, you can actually reverse the function and say how new data, like when you're publishing something new, right, be that a new piece of content or journalism, how much new information does that bring to the existing system, right? And that's actually way cheaper to validate, right? In a way, the way these models are trained are actually on how novel the new data is, so-called loss function. And so you can use that to actually weight in new content being created and reward creators based on that, right? So you're not rewarding them based on how much it's used. You're rewarding it based on how much novel information, new content, new ideas are brought into the data set. And I think that will be extremely important. And there's few projects working on different aspects of this creator content rewarding. But that we're going to be moving into that, which is it's not about the attention on the original content. It's not even attention on the answer from LLM, but it's actually on the novelty and interestedness and kind of the content published. How are we doing on time?
Maybe one or two.
Okay.
Fun questions? Are there any fun questions?
Spicy.
Spicy. We were talking about, well, on our way here, I was asking what Jensen and you guys were talking about after the panel, some behind story or anything fun. That wasn't on the interviews, just anything fun.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, he asked us when the next paper.
When next paper.
Yeah, the problem is all of us are running, companies and projects, and so except Lukasz, who is at OpenAI, and so yeah, way less time for research, sadly. So I think there's an interesting question. Illia, you worked at Google. It seems like the best research has been done in a few closed labs. Why should developers starting out today not go to these places? And I think that's probably like goes at the core of the current state, right? Is that like these places are where the research is happening. They have access to computation, resource to do data sets, to distribution platforms to put these models in production. And so why is that not the kind of place to go for people? And I think the challenge that we need to solve is exactly that. Is like, how do we enable researchers and developers to really be able to do this without going and working for one of these companies, right? Again, kind of apply the Web3 mindset to this problem. And so what we're doing is kind of building out hub to enable that and to make it easy for people to contribute without working for any specific company, and ideally being rewarded as well for their work and for their research. And again, the place to tap in is the researchers right now in universities, in these institutes, which don't have like that much capability right now to make state of the art. But also importantly, like, right now, if you read an AI paper, and if it's not from Google or Facebook or OpenAI, you're like, I don't know if I trust them that this is actually good results, right? And so it's important to actually have the reproducible science and really available for everyone to really leverage right away. And so again, this is something that we are kind of really trying to nail down, like how to make it easy for everyone to then reproduce what people have done. And kind of see the results as they're coming out, not a year later when it's already like the train has moved on.
Okay, done.
I mean, we can do one more.
There's a lot, actually.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions. Yeah.
Scrolling down. Thank you for the questions, by the way. It's really.
Can you explain the story behind the name Near?
That was funny. That was fun.
Yeah. So originally it was Near AI, and it's because AI is near. Right, so this was back in 2017. But the story actually behind this, so for those who are not familiar, there's a book called Singularity is Near, and by Ray Kurzweil from, I don't even remember which year. And it was kind of this fundamental, futuristic, like semi-science fiction, which, becoming less and less science fiction over time, around that, as AI evolves, right, it, will become as intelligent as a person, and then we'll have into the state where it can self-improve, right, and then become smarter and smarter, and so you'll have this kind of so-called singularity coming, and so that's where Singularity Net, Singularity University, and all those parts are coming from that original book, and so kind of Near AI was the nod towards Singularity is Near, with the idea that when we actually ship AGI, it will be renamed to Here AI. Yeah, so still in progress.
Still in progress.
Yeah, the blockchain is here. It's all good. So yeah, rename to Here Protocol.
Here Protocol. All right, until that day comes. Yes.
All right, well, yeah, thank you.
Big thanks to Illia. This is a big round of applause.